Pavlov is a game that I've only talked about briefly on my channel, but funny enough, probably my longest played VR game ever. Why is that though? Well, if you've watched that Pavlov video, you would probably know why. That's because the community of this game is terrible. If I were to do a Pavlov video, the amount of footage it would take to get one video is disappointing, to say the least. Because every lobby and a half is filled with slur-slinging cowboys hailing from the 2nd grade and below. It sucks, because while I've only talked about Pavlov mainly negatively, the game itself is actually great. Despite my issues with it, it's an amazing game. But a new question arose somewhat recently. Is it worth $20? That's where the answer gets a bit tricky. Pavlov's Shack has always been free, and because of that, it was so easily accessible. The problem with this easy of accessibility is any young person was able to get their hands on this game with no wall blocking them doing so. And because of this leaked a virus into the Pavlov community, the general gaming public. Racists, homophobes, you name it, were led into this game. Now, if this was a game like, say, Call of Duty, who gives a shit? Turn voice chat off. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people, including me, got their playtime from a game mode called TTT, which is based on social interaction. Turning voice chat off just ruins the game. So, what can you do? Well, there was an option in the eyes of Bankrupt, and that was make the game paid.
Oh my goodness!
And it would be like Gorilla Tag. Even if you own the game, you'd have to buy it no matter what. There was a strict $20 entry fee, and nobody could avoid it. This is a good idea, right? Well, kind of. Now, this is the point where I'd pause and ask the question, is Pavlov's Shack worth $20? Well, there's a lot of ifs that play into this answer, so let's talk about it. First off, it depends on what you're looking for. The general Pavlov community is divided between two types of modes, the casual modes and the more competitive traditional shooter modes. The casual modes are exactly what you expect. I'm talking stuff like Prop Hunt and TTT. Prop Hunt is decent fun, but in no way alone justifies spending $20. But TTT is, well, it's TTT, I won't talk about it much for now. The other half includes death matches, search and destroy, stuff like that. There are other game modes that don't perfectly fit into these categories. Stuff like the Hide, One in the Chamber, etc. could really go in either, but you get the point. Pavlov has a way better selling point if you are a casual player than a competitive player. While sure, deathmatch and S&D are great, however, if you're looking for a VR shooter, there are better places to look. Contractors, Veil, there's so many great shooter games that as a competitive game, blow Pavlov out of the water. So, if that's what you're looking for, no, this game is not worth the money. Or you might be rich and buy it anyways, and in that case, well, why the hell are you watching this video? Anyways, the question gets interesting when asked if you want to buy it because of the casual side, more so TTT. TTT alone will give you tens of hundreds of hours of gameplay, offers funny encounters, is usually lighthearted, and doesn't really get old. That settles it then, right? You should buy the game. Well, yes, but the answer gets a bit more complicated, and this is where the split in decisions might happen. TTT is driven by social interaction. There's a core game here, an Among Us type beast sort of game where you're just trying to figure out who the traitor is. However, nobody really plays by the rules. The traitor is always found out by means not intended by traditional rules. Unlike Among Us, there is no cooldown. Everyone has guns, and the only cooldown is how long it takes for you to reload. You don't have these table gather rounds where people have respectable conversations and debates, because there is no grace period. If the traitor wants to, and is sneaky enough, they could just kill almost everyone at that moment. And there's no muting between meetings because there are no meetings. Most of the fun of this mode isn't relying on the mode itself, but rather the shenanigans that happen while playing. This means the game itself isn't the deciding factor on whether it is or not. It's the community and how funny the people playing are. So let me bring back something I mentioned earlier. The paywall. You would think this would block out and prevent trolls and unlikable people from joining, and while this is partially true, it's certainly not much more than partial. While you can see a decrease in people with deplorable behavior, it's still an insanely common occurrence to come into a server and see the whole lobby and a slur off. What I'm trying to say is, if you wanted this game in hopes of the lobbies being mostly pure, sadly this probably isn't for you. I'm at the point where hearing most of this shit doesn't offend or hurt me, so personally, I don't really care. And at most, it's annoying. And I know there's several people that are turned off by this and don't want to hear that shit, and rightfully so. If you don't want to hear slurs every second, don't get the game. So, that's the answer, right? Just don't get the game. Dude, I don't know. While I've spoken mainly negatively, clearly there's something that keeps me coming back to this fucking game. Clearly there's something that makes it worthwhile, so what is the answer? Well, don't get mad, but there is none. Now, before you get mad and say, Zach, you cheeky clickbaiting fuck, let me explain. There is simply no correct answer, only content pros. I can only help inform you of what to expect, and saying yes, it's worth it, or no, it's not, isn't great because not everyone is going to like this and be okay with this. So, I leave you with this. If you don't want to hear a plethora of slurs and unfunny people be in lobbies constantly, don't get it. But if you can ignore it and enjoy the rest of the lobbies, then get it. Sorry for this weird answer, but I hope you understand why I'm doing this. Anyways, this is a bit of a shorter video, I know, but I've got like a lot more shit cooking up. So if you're excited for that, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you've seen. See ya!